close to about 250 billion US dollars in assets that seized from Russia will be used to give a loan to Ukraine to pay for their restructuring and their defense. So here's what we're saying. You're going to take money that was seized from Russia at the start of the war, and you're going to use the interest. They want to use the interest to give a loan to Ukraine to pay for its restructuring and its
Oh,
weapons.
they're
And of
going to
course,
use interest on the Russian money, not the Russian money itself.
yeah, yeah, the interest. And here's what they're saying. They're saying that they'll provide weapons and also restructuring and defense for Ukraine. Of course, European companies will be the ones that provide the services. So this is how the EU wants to get paid off of the war. They'll take, in the interest of Russia's money, to give loans to Ukraine, and then the Ukraine will pay it back. But they say that it will also be paid from the money of Russia. This is straight up racketeering. That money from Russia is going to be used to buy weapons that are made by German manufacturers to sell to Ukraine. But the idea is that basically Russia is buying the weapons for the Ukraine. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's Russian
Yeah.
money. And then to pay back the loans, Russia will pay back the loan. That's why I say this is it's basically me seizing your money and using it refinance Ukraine or to restructure Ukraine and give them weapons. Then also the loan won't be paid back by the Ukraine. It'll be paid back by you.
Only way that this deal can happen is for Ukraine to give into Russia's land demands.
No, but even if they don't give into the land amount, Europe will still proceed to take the money and use it to weaponize Ukraine during
Yeah,
the
but I
war.
mean, there's no peace plan. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, no,
Without the land,
we're
yeah,
not focusing on peace plan today. We're focusing on this racket. So what I'm saying is they could do this if there's no peace plan, they'll still do it because they'll say that it's just funding to keep the war going. Let's simplify it. Europe wants to take Russia's money to give loans to Ukraine to keep the war going, and Russia will pay it back, not by force because they've seized Russia's money. You see what I'm saying? This is a racket. But um, Belgium, Belgium has said they're not doing this because Russia has threatened them with a lawsuit if they do it. And also Orban from Hungary has said no, we shouldn't do that. I think the people who want to do this are Keir Starmer and Macron. You get my point? But the Belgians are saying no. And the reason I believe the Belgians are saying no is because Trump has an alternative plan. Trump's plan is to take um, the money in the Russian fund, take 100 billion of it, and use it to restructure. Um, you check this out. This is going to be you're going to love this, Kool-Aid. He wants to take 100 billion of Russia's money and use it to restructure the Ukraine, but only if there is a peace agreement. Okay, and then 50% of the profit from the restructuring will be given to the U.S. and 50 will be given to Ukraine. See how he's giving money back to Ukraine. And also, Russia is saying this is a bad situation, but it might be the best situation that Russia can get. And he said that afterwards, Russia and USA would work in alignment with that money being used to invest with partnership between Russia, US, and Ukraine. Do you see what? And Putin hasn't said he'll agree with it, but he says that he'll think about it.
whilst he continues to dominate
Yeah, yeah.
and take land in
Because
Ukraine.
so Putin obviously knows this is not a good deal, but if he's a true chess player, he'll see that this is a better strategy than that money staying frozen forever.
What Putin is doing is he knows it's not a good deal.
Yeah, yeah.
And the reason he's saying, I'll think about it, is because what he's saying is, I don't like the deal. I'm going to take another piece of Ukraine, and then you're going to come and talk to me again. And if I
Yeah.
don't like the deal, I'm going to take another piece of
And
Ukraine,
then
and I'm going
eventually
to keep taking
and then
pieces of Ukraine until I get what I want.
and
So
at
you can
some
take
point
that fucking money and shove it up
and
your
at some
ass.
point he would tell you now I have Kiev. You can keep that 100 billion you
Yeah,
got.
that's
I don't
exactly
give a
what.
fuck.
Yeah, that's what I said. You can take that money and shove it up your ass. That's why I
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
going to say,
But
okay, no problem. If I don't like the deal, I'll just keep fucking Ukraine. I'll just keep fucking Ukraine.
also but see
I'll
but
just
here's the thing,
keep fucking
so here's the thing
Ukraine.
about Putin though. He knows that the US is a major player in the world and China are so and he knows that Trump is treating him a lot more respect than Biden. So at least he doesn't say fuck you directly to Trump the way he said it to Biden. Because he knows that this even Putin knows that after he takes Ukraine, if he takes all of Ukraine, America will still do business with him. You get my point? So what Putin is doing is he's being polite to Trump because he knows that he'll do business with Trump later on. You understand what I'm saying? And also he'll give Trump credit because Trump never wanted this war. It was Biden. So Putin is doing real politics. He's doing business with America because Trump is
Biden
there.
and Obama, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because Trump has not escalated the war. He hasn't escalated. He stopped giving funding to Ukraine to that level. The funding he's giving to Ukraine now, they say it's going to military, but it's just going into what's his name's pockets, Zelensky and Russia. So for example, it's like let's say you and me are fighting a war against each other, and someone says, "Okay, I'm going to give money to Moose." If you know that that money that he's giving to me is not actually used for weapons against you, it's just going into my pockets, you don't care. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Trump is not actually making it harder for Russia to win the war because the money that's going to the Ukraine is so corrupt that whatever money that Trump is still giving to Ukraine, which is greatly reduced, isn't being used to send missiles and kill Russian people. The main problem is Russia. And the other day, Putin called the Europeans piglets. He said those little piglets are trying to make money off of the war. So the loser in this whole situation is the EU. They're the loser, and EU wants to make money off of Russian assets to 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 fund Ukraine's war, and then they want to use Russia's money to pay it back. Now, even though Russia's not going to take any deal, what Trump is saying is that we'll borrow. I'm going to borrow Russia's money to rebuild Ukraine, and then there'll be so much of a profit fall that we'll give a little bit to Ukraine because that's Zelensky, pay them off, and then we'll give a little bit to me, and then moving forward, Russia and the U.S. will do business deals on the restructuring of Ukraine. You get my point. So basically, what Trump has done is that he's given Russia a deal that's better than you. That's just his way of telling EU you're getting nothing. And like you said, Putin will continue moving forward.
Yeah.
And I
If he
don't think,
doesn't like the deal, he'll just keep moving forward on
and
Ukraine
Trump will still be his
until
friend.
he's offered something he likes.
Yeah, and then Trump will still be his friend. And at the end of the day, what I believe will happen is probably some of the interest off that money, the U.S. can share it, but Russia will get back every penny they want. And if they don't, they will just take all of Ukraine. What are your thoughts? Nice show.
If Ukraine doesn't take time and they keep mucking about, they're going to have Russians knocking on the door of Kiev in a few months if time is not taken. The Western Europe and the EU are sort of negotiating as if they believe they are in a position of strength. It's kind of like naive.
They're delusional.
Yeah, it's kind of delusional. They don't have